Welcome to this week's vlog. Today we'll be discussing a topic that has been trending in recent times at a very alarming and disturbing rate at such: domestic violence. Domestic violence is when one partner in an intimate relationship abuses the other. It does not necessarily have to occur within the home, and it can be expressed in different ways. Abuse can be physical, emotional, sexual, or a combination of two or all three. Today, I'll be breaking the norm by not speaking alone. I have a friend and colleague with me, Harriet Efanga, and together we'll be discussing the topic. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining me today, so that it's not always my face, my face, my face. At least let's bring somebody fresh.
You know, it's always a pleasure to have a chat with you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Let's begin with the various ways in which domestic violence is expressed. What is physical abuse?
Physical abuse has to do with the kind of abuse that is tangible.
Okay.
You can feel it.
Okay.
You can touch it.
Okay.
You can see. If you see somebody who is going through physical abuse, you actually know, because it has to do with your hands. You're hitting at someone. You're shoving at someone. You're putting pressure on someone. As in, it's something tangible.
And eventually, so for some people, you see the black eye,
Black
the mark
eyes,
on
yes,
the
and all of that.
body, yes.
Swollen body.
Yes.
You have bruises and all
Yes.
of that.
Then I feel sexual abuse is also a form of physical violence. Because sexual abuse, sometimes you have to show the person to get to do what you want the person to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's sexual assault. It's sexual activities
Against the person's will.
Yes. Then what about emotional abuse?
Emotional abuse. That's, for me, I think it's actually the worst form of abuse, because you can't touch it.
Yes.
You can't see it.
Yes.
In fact, some people do a very good job of covering up emotional abuse, because it's something that you're targeting it at a person without touching the person.
Yes.
In fact, if somebody brings it up and the person is like, this guy is emotionally abusing me, you could say, how?
Oh, yeah,
How?
because you can't see any
Yes.
mark.
Yes.
And generally, most people feel that abuse is physical, only physical abuse. Some people don't even think it's up to emotional abuse.
Babe, do you know one thing? I've actually realized that there is more abuse than we can ever get to find out.
Yes.
Now we're talking physical, emotional, sexual, financial abuse.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's
withholding your financial support.
That is it.
Economic
It's
decision.
much
Only
more
you
than
take,
we can.
especially for couples that are married.
Mm-hmm.
You take the economic decision yourself without considering the other person.
See, do you know one thing that even crossed my mind now? You know, for me as a wife, if you decide what everybody in the house eats, your husband says, "Oh, today I would prefer to eat afang soup." You say, "No, it's a way that we are all going to eat." And you impose it. It's a form of abuse. We call that one kitchen abuse, whatever it is. But anything that you do that is against the person's will.
Yes, there are better ways to get the person to agree to what you want than just imposing it on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you know that according to a demographic survey in 2008, it says that about 30.5% of married women have experienced at least one form of abuse or the other. Now, what would you say are the factors that influence abuse?
Now, for me, too many factors.
Okay.
Top on the list is the family factor.
Okay.
I'm a Christian. The Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he's grown, he will not depart from it.
Yes.
I have friends who we all grew up together. You know, for some reason, you hear them talk about certain things that happens at home. Those of them who we knew had issues in their family where their father was always abusing their mother, today, a larger chunk of them abuse the women in their lives. And so when a child grows up in an environment where women are subdued, now I'm talking about a man, women are subdued, that child is more likely to go that way.
For the female child, she might now open herself to abuse. Because it's what she grew up seeing.
Yes.
She grew up seeing her father abuse her mother. So she has gotten that subdued nature, and any guy can abuse her, and she feels that it's a normal thing because that's what she's used to.
Now, you know one other thing we always ignore is the fact that there are men who are also being abused in their homes.
Yes.
Because there are women who grew up in homes where their mothers were tigers.
Yes.
And so they were used to their mother pushing their fathers around.
Yes.
And so they get married and they believe that I'm a woman. Anything I tell my husband I want, that is what my husband should do.
Yes.
And so if my husband doesn't do it, I'll turn the house into
upside
hell.
down. He must do it.
Yes, so it's both ways.
You know, I think another factor is some of our cultural beliefs. Some cultural some cultures believe that violence or abuse is the way you used to chastise your wife.
Mm-hmm. Yes, to place her in check.
Yes.
And you know, I have a friend, he's quite elderly, senior friend,
Okay.
who said he has this colleague who has 2 sets of whips at home. One is for his children and the other one is for his wife.
It sounds funny, but it's not
But
funny.
it's not funny. Like he has 2 sets, the one for his children and one for his wife. So when his wife goes out of line, according to him, he pulls the whip to put her in check.
In check.
I know, when I heard that, I said, well, the wife probably grew up in a home where the father had a whip for the mother. And so she believed that
okay with it.
It's what
It's,
that
it's
should
a way
happen.
of correct. Just when you correct children, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yes, so now
it has
spare
transcended
the rod and spoil the wife.
now. Then another thing is now behavioral. The person's behavior now. Some people cannot manage their anger. Some people are too jealous. Self-control, they don't have it. So when something happens, they now, instead of controlling themselves, the man or the woman that is the abuser, now let me use that word, the abuser,
yeah.
instead of controlling himself, he now pours it on the person.
Transfer aggression.
Yes. And some people have the opinion that for me, since mostly women are the ones that are victims, so some people have the opinion that the woman is the cause of the abuse. What's your opinion?
Well, you know, that is two-sided. I would say, you know, it's two-sided because we're all humans. Now, a child who misbehaves has it at the back of his or her mind that I'll be punished for this.
Yes.
Now, you find situations where you see the way some women do things, and you're like, jeez, what is all of this? You understand? And then, you know, there's something about it happening over and over again. There's no excuse whatsoever for abuse. You understand me?
No.
Now, by the time you as a woman, you know your husband's breaking points.
Yes.
And you keep hitting that spot.
In short, sometimes you even exceed that point.
You understand?
Yes.
You know, this is my husband's soft spot. This is his breaking point. You keep hitting that spot.
Why not try and avoid it?
Whether you like it or not, one day it will cave in.
Yeah, that's true.
One day it will cave in.
So
Now,
it's like saying that to an extent they might be right.
Yes, to some level. You understand?
Yes.
Now, you who knows that you have anger issues, you know that if anybody does anything, I'll bring down this roof. Before the person even begins, you know where this person is heading to. Just
leave. And let's save ourselves the whole
because
stress.
you know the thing where problem usually comes in is, I'm right, you're right, I'm right, you're right, and
nobody wants to play the fool.
Do you understand? Nobody wants to you know, take the back seat.
Yes.
Eventually, things will get out of hand. So even if you don't even need to tell her that, okay, don't worry, you're the one who is right, because some women or some men, even when you tell them, okay, no problem, I agree, you were correct, they even feel, oh, okay, that's now fresh battle.
Yes.
You don't want to talk about it. You're trying to avoid it. Meanwhile, you're trying to
just trying to avoid the stress of having to quarrel, having to disagree.
Yeah,
and everything.
so for that moment, just leave that environment. Let things, you know, cool off, and then you guys can actually come back and have a proper talk.
Okay. For the victims, what are the signs that we can see that, or we can perceive that this person is being violated? What are the signs that we see? Not necessarily physical signs.
Yeah. You know, number one for me, I keep telling my friends, the moment anybody begins to isolate you from other people, that's a danger sign. Because when a predator goes after a prey, the predator isolates the prey. It's easier, you know, to get a prey when you isolate that prey.
Yes.
And so, you're my friend. We chat a lot. We sit out a lot. We have time, we interact, and then all of a sudden somebody comes into somebody comes into your life, and then I realize that we no longer have that much time. I begin to realize that, okay, you're more into yourself. I mean, something that
you don't normally do. Something that you've always been lively, and suddenly
you're now withdrawn.
You just became a gloomy person.
Yes, all of a sudden you're no longer a happy person. You're not a shadow of yourself. I asked a question that normally I know you would have. You go on and on.
Yes.
You just tell me yes or no.
I don't know.
No.
Maybe it's kind of.
Then we know there's something wrong.
Then now start giving extreme deference to that spouse. My husband said, my boyfriend said, my fiance said, and it's not as if it's a crime, but it now becomes, you know, when it becomes excess.
You no longer have a thought. You can't think for yourself anymore.
Yes.
Everything now. Sorry, it's all about that person.
Yes.
You say, let's go and do donuts. Let me call and find out if we can go and do donuts.
if I do it, if okay, let's go. Like my husband will say, my husband will not agree. You know those kind of thing. Then before we now go to the physical manifestation, you see swollen eyes, broken limbs, always going to the hospital, and he say, no, I fell down.
Now, isn't it, if you see the swollen eyes, I know that you, my friend, you don't do dark shades, and then all of a sudden, every time I see you, you're putting on dark shades. Every time you're putting on
Even
dark
indoors.
shades. Even indoors. You didn't used to do makeup before. All of a sudden, you're wearing heavy makeup. I mean, then something is wrong.
But why do victims? Why do they stay? Why do victims of abuse? Why do they stay? Why don't they just leave? Once you start noticing some of these signs, even before it becomes the physical, why do they stay?
See, it's deeper than you and I can ever understand. There's something about attachment to a person. Some people refer to it as a soul tie.
Yes.
Like you get so used to this person that you feel like, okay, this person is a covering for me. There is something this person gives to me. Maybe it's the financial support. It could be the material support. For women who come from families that are not well-to-do, maybe the guy who is one who is taking care of your parents and all of that. That's one of it. I know there's the power of I'm sorry.
That remorse.
Most of the time we don't understand it. The power of I'm sorry. The person hits her, this lady beats her up, and then all of a sudden it comes, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, buys her gifts, so all of that clouds her reasoning. She just believes that's where you don't even have a situation where the women begin to blame themselves for the abuse. They begin to blame themselves for the abuse. That's
I think
another
some of
part
these
of it.
reasons can just be summarized into fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of lack of financial support, fear of what will I do when I leave this person, fear of losing custody of the children, and so on. But does this abuse just start suddenly?
It never starts suddenly. It never starts suddenly. There is always a glimpse into it.
Even for those in the relationship, even before the marriage.
Even before the marriage, there's always a glimpse into it. Except you meet somebody and then in a couple of days, even within a couple of days, there's always a trace. No matter how much the person tries to suppress it. Anybody who has anger issues cannot really cover up. Anybody who is bossy.
Even no matter how much he tries to give you the good side, one day would sleep.
Of
even
course.
If you are very observant,
you
will get it.
At times we women will get carried away by the fact that I love brown chocolates.
So they can use that one to bribe you. When you say I'm sorry, I'll not bring the chocolates.
A box of brown chocolates, man. Then they're like, okay, he didn't mean it.
Now, if we want to go into research, now a psychologist in 1979, Leonard Walker, he says abuse is in 3 phases or 3 cycles. It's a cycle, of 3 phases. Now, first is the tension building cycle or phase. That's when there is tension in the house, especially if it's in the home for domestic issues, money, the children, jobs. Before you know, verbal abuse now begins. Now, do you see the abuser trying to please the victim? Trying to please the abuser to avoid the abuse. Then this phase leads to the second phase, which is the acute battering phase. That's when the tension has built to a certain level. Now it now becomes physical abuse.
It must collapse.
It now becomes physical abuse. Then after the physical abuse, after everything. The honeymoon phase, the I'm sorry phase, the remorse, where the man is now remorseful or the abuser is now remorseful to the victim that, hey, I'm sorry. He now tries to be loving, tries to be kind, tries to make
buy gifts, go take your trips.
Exactly, so that you don't feel that. But eventually, when the honeymoon phase dies down, the cycle begins.
That's it.
Though this thing is not for all relationships. Some don't follow this cycle exactly, but everything is still...
It's still tied around it.
Now, it now leads us to the effects of domestic violence.
Top on the list is death. We can't, in recent times, we've lost the number of, people who have lost their lives.
Just
to domestic violence.
So last week or 2 weeks ago, there was one in the news now, and
I think that's the one of the lady who was married for barely 1 month.
I don't even know how long she was married, and you see, I don't know. Sometimes I'm almost to the point of tears. Why didn't you just go? Do you need to talk to do you need to talk to somebody that will advise you to go?
Why didn't you just go?
No.
When you're told that as an African woman, it is your responsibility to make your marriage work,
At the detriment of your own.
stay for the sake of the children.
See, Yoruba will say, "Root abokoku." You want to die with the husband. But yes, till death was passed. But not when the death is coming from that man. Abi? Not when the death is coming from that man.
Well, these people may never really be able to explain everything. But, just like you said initially, there are cultural issues.
Yeah.
There are emotional issues.
So it means it's not limited to a certain ethnic group.
It's not. It's a certain ethnic group. No, it's not. It's not even limited to a nation.
You know that there is one ethnic group, I just reserve the name, that they believe that if your husband has not beaten you, if you've not been violated, then you've not tasted marriage, then that means he doesn't love you.
Are you kidding me?
I've
never heard of that.
Okay, it's good you don't hear. It is good you don't hear.
No, it's just better I don't get to find out. Like, your husband needs to beat you for you to be sure that he loves you.
Among your peers as women, among your girlfriends, your women folk, if your husband has not beaten you, it means you've not tasted marriage.
That's like your husband beating you becomes a bragging right?
Yes.
That's sad.
How can women in this abusive relationship, how can they help themselves?
Talk to someone. That's the first step. Talk to someone. Because, when you're under pressure, you're not in the right frame of mind, in the right position to take certain decisions.
But this talk to someone is it's not so pure, because what if the person you're talking to is this kind of person that believes that stay.
That's the thing. Now, you don't talk to anyone. I say talk to someone. No, you don't talk to anyone.
In that frame of mind that person is at that moment, do you think the person will have that, let me use that word, that sensitivity to pick who he wants to talk? What if it's this kind of friend that is readily available?
See, let me tell you something. Let me give you an instance. I have a friend who was going through severe abuse in her home.
Okay.
When she decided to talk to someone, she spoke to an older woman whose husband is a lawyer.
Oh, she was lucky.
Yes, and then, what they did was the lawyer called her husband into his office. They served him a notice, I don't know what it's called, and he was told, legally, that at any point in time he raises his hand against her, they will take it further. And that is the reason she's had peace at home.
Did you have to get to that level?
Well, that was what could help her.
For me, first and foremost, leave. That's me. That's my own personal opinion. Especially if your life is at stake.
That's an extreme case there.
Especially because by the time the person starts battery, if you still verbal abuse, emotional abuse, you can still gradually talk to somebody till you get a good solution. But once you start getting to physical abuse, please leave. Your life is very precious. You don't have to where to go. Talk to a religious leader. Somebody will help you. I know this life is not. If it's not as if,
difficult as
yes,
we think.
if it's not as if you have totally isolated yourself from people, or you have this side of negative character that people are always seeing. But if you're at least a normal sane person, you should get somebody that can house you for that few days, or that you will need to get yourself well.
Even when you're an insane person, there would always be someone who's ready to help.
Like you said too, legal action. Like this person now, there's that prohibition, so that at least giving her peace of mind. How can we curb domestic violence? It's so common. I don't know. Now, and the funny thing is, many women are not still talking. But even as much as are talking, or as many as are talking, or as many as what we see in news, social media, it's too many for me to bear, for it to be happening. How can we curb it?
The more you talk about something, the more people get to understand this thing.
Yeah.
And then it takes us back to the home. If you want to kill something, kill it at a particular generation.
Before it becomes
if you kill it at that generation, it won't grow into there. So you can actually see it eradicated. Let society, families begin to understand that.
That sensitization, that awareness.
Your male child and your female child are equal.
Yes.
They are equal. Treat them equally. Teach your children to respect others.
Now, we've had a very, very educating section. Let me use that word.
Yeah,
as emotional as it is, it's been educating, because some women they're ignorant of their rights, of what they need to do. Just, if one summarizes everything we have said today, yes, women are mostly the victims of domestic violence, But men are also, they also fall victims. So it now falls on us women to be very careful too. As humans, we should respect everybody. Male, female, we should respect them. Now, domestic violence is a common reality in our society. It is. But our laws should be enacted. They should be used. It should not just be laws. Now, if you are a victim, stop suffering in silence. I can't imagine myself being in that position. But I know what you feel. Our society has given us that you can't manage your home. If it's a relationship, if it's a marriage, you can't manage your home. You must do something. So if you're a victim, don't stay in an abusive relationship, especially if you're in danger. You deserve to live free from abuse. Please seek help. Now, thank you for joining me.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for today's edition.
I enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah.
As always.
Though the topic is one that it's not really a smiling one, but
It's not a smiley one, but it must be discussed. And you can never discuss it enough.
yes. It's been a very emotional discussion today, and I'm sure it's been very educative, especially for those who have been undergoing this violence. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and share my video. And if you want more videos, subscribe to my channel. Until next time, I'm Adebo Ali. Bye.